Hi guys, I'm Anissa and I'm back with another video. Today is time for a tag video again, and today's tag is the Terrible Tomes tag, and I was tagged by Shelby from Read and Find Out. And yeah, let's get into the questions. The Terrible Tomes tag was created by Ren from A Bookish Balance. There are 12 questions, so let's just get into them. I'll try and answer as best as possible. The first one is can't even name a book you DNF'd after a chapter or less. I don't often DNF a book after just one chapter. I feel like that's pretty, I usually give it at least a couple of chapters. One that I DNF'd earliest, I think it might be Behold the Man by Michael Moorcock. This is one of the books that I had to read for the SF Masterworks list, and I think I only read 20 pages and then I put it down. It wasn't a really long book, but I just couldn't deal with that. I didn't like the way it was written. And question number 2 is get out of my book. Name a main character you absolutely cannot stand. I can't really think of a specific one right now that I absolutely hate, but this has to have to be like a book that I might be able to enjoy had it not been for that person. I always have such a hard time remembering the books that I don't like for some reason. Off the top of my head, I didn't really like Dimple from When Dimple Met Rishi. I don't exactly hate her, but I didn't think she was very judgmental, and yeah, just I didn't really like how she was looking down on some people, and yeah. But I don't remember one where I absolutely despise the main character right now. I'm sorry. 3, angst. Name a book that with a suffocating amount of angst. I don't mind angst too much. Sometimes it's fun. It depends on my mood. But one I remember that I didn't really like. I read Thoughtless or something like that, and it was super angsty. I hated the main character. Hey, that could actually work for the first, but the book, the question before, because I finally remembered her. She was the worst, and the only reason why I kept on reading was because I wanted to see how her actual boyfriend ended up doing after she's been sort of having this boyfriend and also sleeping with her roommate on the side behind the boyfriend's back. And yeah, no, didn't like it. I didn't, yeah. That was a lot of angst in that one, and I hated the main character, so works for both second and third question. For Once Upon a Time, The End, name a very poorly written book. I remember reading Wake, Dreamcatchers or something, the first book of that series. I forgot the author right now. I absolutely despised the writing in there. There were so many off-putting ways of writing in that one. And I don't often notice bad writing, so that I did that, it means that it's terrible. Terrible. 5, frustrating, bland, and unremarkable. Name a book whose characters took away from your reading enjoyment. Okay, so this tag is about a book where I actually liked the book, but the characters ruined it for me, or what? I don't have an answer for this one right now, I'm sorry. Have I read you before? Name a book that lacks originality. Actually, I have one, but I didn't hate that book, but it was quite similar, and that is Covenant, no, Half-Blood by Jennifer L. Armentrout. That is so similar to Vampire Academy. I mean, this is about half-gods and this girl who's in love with her trainer, and that's basically Rose and Dimitri from the Vampire Academy. So, but I also saw that was something different, and I actually enjoyed that book quite a lot, despite that it was very similar to Vampire Academy. So I guess that one. 7, Look What You Made Me Do. Name the most useless antagonist ever. I have one for this one, but I forgot it. I can't really think of one for this question right now as well. I should have checked things before I started filming this. What were we talking about again? Name a book that you read recently that you can't remember anything about. I did read A Room with a View recently, and although I know that it was about this girl traveling to France, sort of trying to rediscovering herself or something, I don't really remember exactly what was happening. See, most often I forget books if I don't really like them. If they're like a 3 or 2 stars for me, then I often tend to forget what they're about. So it doesn't take a long time before I don't remember. Question number 9, you can do better than this. Name the worst significant other or worst couple. Okay. Least favorite OTPs. Let's see. I really don't like the relationship in The Beautiful Ashes that I read recently. I didn't really care for the romance. I usually don't mind romances too much, but that one was, I didn't really feel it. It was a little poorly written, I think. And usually I actually enjoy Janine Frost's books, and most of her romances are good, but that one, no. Question number 10, I'm going to pretend that didn't happen. Name the worst character death you've ever read. Maybe a character you liked died a horrible death and they didn't deserve it, or maybe a horrible character died and the way that went was unsatisfying. Okay. Okay, spoiler alert for Harry Potter fans. I don't know, Harry Potter people who haven't read Harry Potter. One of the most pointless deaths in that series was Sirius Black, because I don't understand why Harry had to lose his only relative that he had left right after he sort of got to know him. That was horrible and shouldn't have happened. And I don't know if... Yeah, there was a couple of pointless deaths, but because obviously there's always going to be people from the main cast that's going to die in these sort of books, because otherwise it will be a little too predictable and unoriginal or whatever. But still, I don't think that was necessary. Question number 11. Open Rush doesn't even make sense. Name an unforgettable horrid ending. I didn't like the ending of Dark Matter. I enjoyed the majority of that book, but I felt like the ending was really rushed, and it didn't really sit well with me. It was like they didn't even actually... There were so many open ends by the end of that book, so that was very unsatisfying, and I would like there to be... It was very convenient as well, so that was a poorly written ending, I think. So that's going to be my choice for this one. Otherwise, a pretty good book. And question number 12, can I throw you at a wall now? Name a book that infuriated you. Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, I didn't like it. The thing is, I did speed through that book because it was really easy to read, but I was so infuriated for so many reasons over that book, and it annoyed me. And sometimes I wish I didn't read it, because I don't want to think back to that and how the characters were so different than the original series, and that annoyed me so much. Like Ron was like movie Ron, which is not like the real Ron how he should be. I know it's a play and he's supposed to be different, but yeah, I just, no, I would have rather been without it. The only good thing that came out of that book was Scorpio. Malfoy was the only good thing that came out of that book. Otherwise, everything else was just horrible, and there were so many plot holes, and yeah, it just didn't add up. So, and I hated, one of the most infuriating things about this, spoiler alert if you haven't read it, Hermione would never ever act like Snape had her and Ron not worked out. That would not make her talk down to the students as she did in that book. She would not. Okay, no, but no, in no way would she do that, because she was treated horribly by Snape through all of her school years, and that's not something that, no matter how far she got out, she would never take it out on the students. She wouldn't. So yeah, that was one of the worst things about the book. That was the final question for this tag. I should probably have read through them and thought of some answers, but sometimes I think it's funnier when you don't know the answers, the questions beforehand. So, but yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna tag anyone. If you haven't done it and you feel like you want to do it, definitely do it, and let me know in the comments down below one of the worst books you've ever read. And yeah, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye.